Greetings everyone! A long ways back, a lot of the reviewers in the MLP community, including myself, put together our thoughts on the Season 5 spoilers as part of an April Fool's Day gag. While I know that a number of the ideas we brought up were rather silly, the one topic that I actually did want to talk about was the possibility of having future episodes of MLP focus on developing a relationship between two characters. To be honest, I had thought a lot about such a story element for many months before making that video, and I still think quite a bit about it nowadays. MLP has brought us interesting characters, entertaining conflicts, memorable music, and a lot of quotable comedy. But on top of that, we've also been given a great many life lessons that are equally applicable to both children and adults. So with that in mind, should the MLP staff attempt to introduce a long-term relationship to the show someday? Start teaching the kind of life lessons that a lot of people tend to struggle with at some point in their lives? I can see a lot of possibilities if that were to happen. But I can also see a lot of potential flaws. I mean, what would be the best way to introduce that kind of concept? Or should it even be introduced at all? Let's take a look at some of the possibilities. 1. Take an already existing relationship, or one that has at least been hinted at, and start showing those characters' interactions more frequently. 2. Take two established characters that haven't shown any interest in each other before and create stories where they begin to take notice. 3. Introduce a brand new character and slowly work in story elements where a relationship can grow. For this video, I'd like to focus on just the first concept I brought up. Use an already existing relationship. Well, I suppose the first couple that comes to mind would be Princess Cadance and Shining Armor. We may not have seen any of their courtship before marriage, but there are still a great many possible story elements that the writers could introduce. I mean, it would be pretty easy to establish some conflicts that are fairly commonplace among new couples, and that could provide some opportunities for some of the main six to offer their takes on the situation, which in turn might lead into moments where any of these characters could be teaching and learning from each other. Unfortunately, I still don't find either Princess Cadance or Shining Armor to be all that interesting. I don't dislike them, but I have a hard time believing that either of them could carry a story all on their own and be just as entertaining and thought-provoking as any of the main 6 episodes. I think the writers would first have to introduce some sort of weakness to their characters to make them a little more relatable. The next couple that comes to mind is one that has only been hinted at here and there throughout the series: Big Mac and Miss Cheerilee. In my mind, these two are much more interesting and have the potential to carry a story. Big Mac has oftentimes been the strong and silent type. He shows a quiet wisdom and a gentle demeanor, but he also has his moments of pride which can lead to a bit of conflict. Miss Cheerilee is shown to be both patient and loving with her students, but still has her limits. And since the writers keep dropping hints here and there that these two might already be developing a relationship, I think there is potential for teaching some of these essential life lessons. Applejack and Applebloom could also be thrown into the mix quite easily, trying to help their big brother in their own ways, which provides more opportunities for both teaching and learning between these characters. Lastly, we have not actually sure how to describe it really. Whatever is going on between Spike and Rarity, if anything at all. I mean, Spike has had a crush on Rarity since the very first episode, and this has become a major part of his character and the focus of several of his stories. Now, Rarity has shown some kindness in turn, and their stories together have been rather interesting. However, I feel that there's something missing. Much like how Silverquill had mentioned during his review of Inspiration Manifestation, Spike episodes tend to focus on what he's done wrong, and those around him helping to lift him back up again. Granted, his latest outing with Rarity did show that he's willing to tell her the truth even if it might damage their friendship, but Rarity ended up forgetting everything right afterwards. I would enjoy seeing a Spike-centered episode where he was the one helping others to learn something essential, while at the same time not making him out to be short-sighted and childish. Such a story could also teach some good life lessons about developing bonds without necessarily evolving the relationship between Spike and Rarity. But at the same time, I could see some potential if the writers were to make that kind of permanent change to the show. But these are only my thoughts on already established relationships in MLP, and the possibilities with centering future episodes around them. There's still plenty more to talk about with creating a relationship from the ground up. In the meantime, though, I would like to hear your thoughts. Given what we've seen from MLP thus far, would it make sense for the writers to delve further into established relationships? Would you want to see these characters both teaching and learning about some essential life lessons that would benefit both children and adults? Or would introducing such story elements be taking things too far in a show that is meant for a younger audience? I would like to hear your thoughts on the possibilities of exploring relationships in MLP, and I hope that you will join me next time when I expand further on these topics. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.